Howdy, this is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGame LLC here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Today we're going to be reviewing Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria, as well as all the expansion promo content for Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria. So let's go ahead and get started. So first off, we'll start with an overview of the game. This is what the board looks like. So you have this central board where you're going to be taking actions using this little worker guy. And then you also have your own personal board where not only are you going to be storing your resources and your dice and all sorts of other stats, but you're going to be reserving cards in order to fulfill them in the future and gaining bonuses. So the first thing that you need to know is the game is a worker placement game at its heart. On your turn, you're going to take your character and either put it into one of these 5 sections, or you're going to place it on your board. So when you go to one of the sections, you'll take the die, and you'll add this die to your player board and use it in a future battle. So the bottom 3 actions are all going to give you a discount on the action based on this little number in the bottom left corner. So this number in the left corner here is going to give you a either effect or discount. So if you take it from this middle one here, it's going to give you that much money. If you take it from the right here, you can buy one of these cards for this much decreased price. And then if you're going to buy from this side, you're going to reserve at a decreased price as well. So the higher the number here, the lower the bonus at the bottom is. The lower the number, the higher the bonus. So if you get a really bad number, you're going to get a whole bunch more discount. So 1 is going to give you that 5 discount, while the 6 isn't going to give you a discount at all. So there's lots of choices when you're going here on those bottom 3 sections. Now the bottom 3 sections are unique to that because these top 2, it doesn't matter what the number is. So when you go to the top sections, you want to grab the high numbers. These 2 are going to give you some strength or let you complete these endgame goals, or this one here is going to give you gems, which you can use to either flip dice from low numbers to high numbers, or you can use them to turn your dice into any color. The whole driving force behind this game, though, are these contract cards. Your whole goal is to fulfill these contracts by using the dice of the appropriate colors. For example, if I wanted to fulfill this thing, I'd need 4 dice of these specific colors. If you need different colors that you don't have, that's where the gems come in. So after you complete these contracts, you're going to do that by returning to your board. If you go back to your board, you can complete the contract by spending the appropriate dice that you've collected through the other actions. And that's really the core of the game here. But the coolest thing is when you do complete one of these contracts, you actually get to upgrade your board. So on your player board, you have all these little circles here. And so the player board is not only going to track your stats here, but it's also going to have these little circles. So for example, you can only hold 3 dice here. If you remove this one, you can now hold 4. You can get a free gem and hold more gems. You can use your color of character as wilds as you play. You can gain more of the bonus cards. There's lots of different choices here and lots of ways to kind of go about yourself. So that's really cool. You'll actually take that and put it onto this secondary board, and you'll get a bonus for placing onto the secondary board, usually extra points. And if you complete these 2 different sections, you'll get the bonus on the inside. You'll link those up. Now these are double-sided. Every player is going to get one at the start of each game, and you're going to choose the one you want to use. And generally you're going to do that to try to help you complete these mid-game bonuses, these kind of driving factors that are going to help you upgrade your board and give you points throughout the game. So in order to do this, you're going to need the help from upgrading your stats. Magic can help you sift through cards and increase your strength on your dice. Coins are going to let you buy and do most actions. And then this here is probably the most important here. This is your influence. So the higher your influence is, the stronger everything else can be. So your coins can't go past that. Your magic can't go past that. And your combat strength, most importantly, can't go past that. When you fight against a quest, you are going to add up the value of all the dice you used, but you can only reach the point at which your favor is. So if that's at 11, I can only get to 11. So once you reach a certain strength threshold, you get additional points for completing those, in addition to getting rid of one of these off of your board. So it's really straightforward. You're basically going to places, getting dice, trading in those dice for these contracts, and based on how well you do with those dice values, you get additional points. So you want to get that number up here so you can get those large amounts of points. And you also have some of these bonus cards on the side here to help you through that. You have these instant effects, these continuous effects, and these endgame scoring. So it's a race to complete 7 contracts, and once you do, game is over. You add those endgame points, and that's it. So it's a very straightforward game, but a lot of fun. Now let's go ahead and talk about the things I really enjoy. So the first thing I really like about this game is the quick actions. So on your turn, you take your person, you go to a space, you grab the die, you do your thing. The longest resolution here has to be when you actually are resolving your camp card. You come back home, you count up the value of your dice, you turn them in for your card, and then you have to decide on where you're going to be putting that upgrade. So it's kind of up to you to set the pace of that, but that is probably the longest moment of this game. It reminds me of something like Splendor or Century Spice Road, where it's very easy to manage, it's very easy to play, and it's quick to make decisions on the fly, because most of these numbers here are going to be very straightforward. Oh yeah, it's a good number, but I'm gonna have to pay full price. Oh, these, I don't really care what the number is, so I just want a high one. So it's pretty easy to decide on what you want to take, but there are lots of choices, as you can see. So there's a lot of chance to think about your turns, but the turns are very snappy, very quick. I really like that. The second thing that I really enjoy is actually the player boards themselves. I love this upgrade mechanism. I love all of the choice that you have from turn one, the things that you can decide on. Do you increase your amount of total favor you can get? Do you start moving these off the bottom so you can start paying for extra dice? Do you go for wild dice? You have so much flexibility. There's a lot of choices here. Personally, I love doing the cards up here because that's another one of my favorite parts of this game are the cards. So the cards themselves are separated into these three tiers over here, and you have these instant tiers, which are going to be pretty cheap, but they give you a immediate bonus effect. And then you have all the way up to these endgame scoring. I like that you can use the magic resource in order to sift and pull out new cards. So I really like that. And I like that there is a easy way to kind of refresh the market as well. Once the number of dice equals the number of players, you're gonna shuffle them all up back in the bag. Nice little bag that it comes with. And then you're going to re-put out dice. So I really like that. I like that the market does rotate, and the cost of the cards actually scales. So if I already have one of these endgame cards, normally it costs me 6. For each one I already have, it's going to cost me 1 extra. And money can be very tight in this game, which is really cool. I love the different effects and the different strategies that they can kind of put you on. It's really cool. I think it's really well done. It's one of my favorite parts for sure is the cards. So the other thing that I really enjoy are the dice themselves. They're nice and chunky. The component quality of this game is fun. And I would be remiss if I were to say that I did not like the artwork in this game. So these large player boards are fantastic. I love the different renditions of the creatures here. The Miko's artwork is at full force here. And this has to be my favorite thing. I love the goblin artwork in this. Amazing. So the artwork, the dice, the quick gameplay, the cards, the upgrade and customization, it is all fantastic. I really enjoy this package. It's great. Now, the things I don't like about this game, they're actually extremely minor. So these top 2 actions, it kind of bugs me that it doesn't really matter the value. So they're not really taking that often. So it feels like a big portion of that board. Almost half of it is not super used. Some of these endgame goal cards can be a little bit of annoying ones. In particular, there are 2 of the endgame goal cards that I just find are super silly. For example, this one, you get extra points for completing quests quickly. And generally, that's what you're going to be doing anyway, because that progresses your game state. So I don't really like this goal specifically, mainly because I see it all the time, and it's just not that exciting for me. Everything else is fine. The other gripe I have is actually with these cards. So at the start of each game, you're going to be picking specific objective cards based on their backs. So let's just take a look at the backs of these cards here. What do you notice that's different between these? It's really hard to tell, but this one has red on the left side, this has red on the right side, and this has red in the middle. So all of these cards, you're going to be picking one of each. So naturally, you're going to just keep them in order, but it is a little annoying when you're going through setup, like, ooh, did I miss it? Oh, did I already pass it? It gets a little bit annoying when it comes to that. So that's really my only gripes with the game. I think it's fine. I don't think that this is going to be a crazy, super strategic game. Nothing extremely in-depth in your thinking, your decisions, but I do really enjoy how simple it is to play. It's a very welcoming game. The artwork is fun. The gameplay is smooth, and that's why I'm really impressed with this. I really like this. I think this is my favorite of the whole entire Valeria universe. I think that Margrave's is probably my second favorite, but Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria, I think, is definitely by far away the best that the Daily Magic Games has produced in this universe. So I really enjoy this one, and let's go ahead now and talk about the expansion content. So first off, it comes in one large box, the Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria Rise of Titans, and it comes with lots of different modules. Let's go ahead and talk about them one at a time. So first off, the most simple module are the ghost dice. So these are interesting, whereas they are not good at all. They go from 1, 2 to 3, and their sides equal 4. So 3 and 1, 2 and 2, and then 3 and 1. So that's it. So these are going to give you significant bonuses, right? Because they're low numbers. But the other interesting thing about them is they're purple, so they're wild when it comes to fulfilling contracts. So in addition, they actually don't take up room on your board, so they're just going to go here in the extra spot, and they're just going to kind of hang out there. So it's kind of nice. It's a weird thing. This is a super easy add-on. I don't think it dramatically changes anything. It's just a neat thing that you can include in your games. Plus, I like the color purple. It's fine. I don't think this is anything crazy, novel, or interesting, but it's fine. It's something that we just throw in our games. It's not a big deal. The next one here are probably my least favorite expansion. These are the spell cards. So these, you're going to deal, I believe it's 3 of these to each player at the start of the game, and they are just bonus cards that you can use during the game. Now, they have 2 sides that you're going to pick as you play. So you can either get bonus resources, usually by returning something, or increasing battle abilities. This one gives you extra strength on your dice, or you can get some money. This one allows you to get points, magic or money. And some of these are actually going to give you points based on how you're doing in battles. Like these 2 here will give you extra points for each dice that you're using in battles. Now, these cards, I think, are very hit or miss. Now, you can receive, once again, you're playing them by dealing 4 out to each player. You can receive some cards that just don't work very well or aren't very strong. Like, in particular, this one is not that good. You return a gem and you get 3 magic and $3, or you get a die and stuff. Like, this seems fine, but in comparison to an effect that just flat out gives you 4 points, that could be huge. So a 4-point card is almost the equivalent of maybe a low-scoring endgame scorecard. And that's gigantic if you're already using it doing something you're playing. So I've found that when we play with these cards, whoever draws more of the +1 points is usually winning the game, which is pretty frustrating because honestly, it's just really frustrating that you're being edged out, because if you're playing the best you can, you're going to get edged out by a single card that you got dealt out at the beginning. So pretty frustrating. I don't really like these, so I wonder if there's a different way to use them. Maybe they would be tied to an action space if they'd be more interesting, but for the way they are right now, I don't really like these. The next module we have are the central modules. So this presents a 5th action. So this is actually going to go in the center of your board right here. And the way it works is whenever you fulfill a contract, so say I was fulfilling this, it would require my 4 dice, right? You're going to take your highest die that you used in that contract and you're going to place it in the center. Now, if there are ever more dice in there than a specific number based on the player count, you're actually going to remove one of the dice if you're putting one in there. So you'll replace dice. So this is a way that you're going to be saving specific colors of dice as well as strength dice. And as an action, instead of going anywhere, you can go to the center as a new action, and you can pay money to claim these dice. Now, this is very similar to me as the purple dice, where this is very much a take it or leave it expansion. I don't think it adds anything crazy interesting or crazy cool to the game. I do think it is cool that there is a space that you can use in the middle here, but I find that this becomes, when you use this module, you are going to be a little bit more limited on your customization on your board. So there is one specific space on the board that says, hey, if you pick your color of dice, it is always going to be wild. And if you play that in conjunction with this expansion, it almost becomes essential that you are going to be using this power. And I think that really ruins the choice, because that's the beauty of these player boards, is that if you are playing, you get to do whatever path you feel is interesting. And so if you are playing with this central tile, your dice are constantly going to get saved, and you can make sure it's your specific color. So you pretty much need to unlock this ability because it's just that efficient. So I find that a little frustrating, that if you use that, you're going to be stuck kind of in that upgrade path. So not one that I really enjoy using. It also adds a little bit more time to that longer turn where you're going to be, fulfilling a contract and putting the dice in. Very minor time, but time nonetheless. Now, the last expansion are these great battles. So they add a new type of token, these little octagons here. And what's going to happen is when you complete a specific contract, so like this one, it uses a red or a blue die. You're going to take one of those red or blue dies that are left, and you're going to place them on here and get a bonus. Now, I actually really like this one, and this is probably my favorite one out of all the expansions. And what it does is it forces you to make really weird plays because you want these bonuses. Now, a lot of the times when you grab these cards, you're going to want to grab ones that have low amounts of dice, because honestly, you just want to fulfill these fast, But if you see that this requires specific colors, you're not going to want to do these. You're going to probably want to find the harder one to achieve because you want to get those bonuses, which is really cool. It's going to have you turn on a dime and kind of change up your strategy. So if you do succeed at, you'll put your little marker here, and the dice actually will stay there as well. Once it reaches a certain threshold, then you will count up the total number that's on here. So the more you help, the more points you're going to get, and you actually get points equal to the number of your octagons that are here. So you can help multiple times with the same one. So I really like this one. I think this is probably the best expansion just because it will change kind of the flow of your game, and it's something that you can adapt to, and I really like this. So there's going to be 2 of these out of a time, and I think this is my favorite expansion out of the 4 that are included with the Rise of Titans modules. So that's my opinions in a nutshell on the whole game. Now, Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria, I think, is a solid game. It's a great introductory game. It's one that I'm really enjoying, and I can't really find a lot of flaws with the core game. Now, the expansion content, for the most part, is take it or leave it. I do like these great battle cards, but generally you're going to be just fine with the base game here. The fun of the game really comes from these cards here, the dice, the quick actions, and the most fun part, in my opinion, is that customization on your own personal board. I really like that. I love being able to kind of pick and choose your path. This is a game that I really enjoy, and this is a side game success for me. So thank you so much for watching. I hope some of you found this review useful. It kind of gave you an insight on the base game, the mechanics, as well as the expansion content. I want to give a shout out to Earl, who left a comment saying that this is specifically what I wanted to see. So Earl, this video is mainly for you and anybody else that is interested in the Valeria universe and specifically Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria. So I really appreciate it. If you have any comments, what are your thoughts on Shadow Kingdoms? Do you enjoy these style of games? Do you enjoy dice drafting? Are there any games that you'd like to see reviewed in the future? I'd love to hear what you think. If you agree with my opinions, anything that has to do with your opinions on Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all your support. SideGame Strong.